Hey guys, welcome to another episode from TheTechieGuy, and today we'll be discussing a serious issue where South Africans are being duped into buying fake phones. Now, these are not the grey imported phones, in other words, a phone that you happen to purchase overseas from a reputable dealer and brought it to South Africa to see if it works, but these are phones that are actually not what they say on the box and are being sold as the real phones. So if you have a look in front here, we've got two identical looking boxes with all seems to have the right kind of markings. Look underneath, all seems to be all in order. But upon closer inspection, you'll see that this particular one is actually a fake Galaxy S4 phone, and this one is the real one. So let's go and have a look at what that actually means. Okay, so if we go ahead and open the actual box itself, you'll see that the real phone comes with this protective cover. It's got a bit of information about the phone, whereas the fake phone actually comes with its own little cover. It still looks rather nice, and again, from the outset you still can't tell that this one is not a legitimate phone. But let's start before we look at the phone itself, let's look at what comes in the box. So on this particular one, this is the fake one, you get this piece of paper in it, and inside you get a whole bunch of accessories. This is the charger. Again, you'll see there's no marking on the charger, nothing to say that this is a legitimate one. The USB cables are stuck in this little plastic bag, and headphones of some description, but they don't say actually Samsung on it as we would expect them to say. Very flimsy box as well. On the legitimate one, you'll get your USB cables, you're going to get a neatly wrapped headphones, and the headphones themselves will actually say Samsung on it. Also, you'll get a branded Samsung USB charger, and that is exactly what we would expect to find. There's also the warranty card, which is underneath here, whereas the fake one doesn't have any of that stuff. Okay, so that's the contents of the box. Let's have a look at the phones themselves. So let's move this out the way. Okay, so here are the two phones. This is the fake, that's the real. Just peel the cover off this one. And if you have a look at the phone from the outset, they don't look like anything. I mean, all the markings are there. If you have a look, everything is where it's supposed to be. Obviously, ignore the sticker. Yeah. So from the phone itself, it doesn't look like visually that you can actually tell the difference between the two phones, unless maybe when you have them close to each other, there's some little markings that come out, such as if you have a look at the top here, the misaligned headphone jacks. On the fake phone, it's more towards the middle. Here, it's more towards the side. But I mean, they did a pretty good job. Even the branding here at the top, compared to the Samsung logo at the top here, also seems legit. But here's where our first clue comes into play. If you have a look at the bottom here, you've got your normal buttons that we would expect, the home button on both phones, and here you would have the back button and the alternative buttons, but if you press it, you can actually hear it click. Whereas on a real phone, it doesn't make any sound, these are just soft keys. So that's the first sign to tell you that something isn't right with this particular device. Okay, if we look at the inside of the phone, itself, this is what we would expect to see from a real phone. It's got proper circuitry, it's got the flash, it's got the camera, it's got the micro SD slot here, it's got the SIM card slot over there, a nice big battery in the middle, and that is kind of what we would expect. And it's actually not that easy to take out the battery. There we go. Okay, and when you take out the battery, again ignoring the sticker that we've put on, this is an evaluation phone, and has got all the bits of information here, but that's kind of what you would expect. Nothing Okay. On the fake phone, once you take off the cover, immediately you can see that that's different to this particular one. So let's compare them side by side, makes it a little bit easier. Firstly, you'll see the camera, and then you'll see the flash, but you see already the circuitry is different at the top here. Also here, you'll see that this is the SIM card slot, whereas on the real phone, that is actually your micro SD slot. And here it's got on the fake phone, here is where you stick your micro SD, and on the real phone, this is where your SIM goes. Also, if you look at the batteries, you can clearly see that they are different size. Remember, on the real phone, very hard to take the battery. On the fake phone, you just turn it upside down and the battery simply pops out. So that is the story when you look at the phones visually. Now, let's switch the phones on and see what we would actually see from there. Okay, I've plugged the USB cable in to charge it, and immediately you can see this is not the right screen that we'd expect to see when you're charging a Galaxy phone. There's a little green arrow going on the side here. The date's always 00, the time's always 00, the date's always the 1st of the 1st 2014, regardless of how many times I set it, and you can see that's what you expect. One of the big problems with having a fake phone is that you don't know what the quality is. You have no idea who's actually built it. You don't know what quality assurance they use. So even having this thing plugged into the wall socket to be charged is just a worrying factor right off the bat. So let me just unplug that. And let's plug it into the Samsung phone, and let's see what we can expect to see when you're charging a real phone. Switch it on here. Okay. This is exactly, you got your battery will have, it will show you that it's charging, it will have the green line at the bottom for indicating how much battery is left, it will have the little circles going from left to right, and basically showing you that it's charging. This is what you expect to see on the legitimate Samsung phone. Okay, next test, let's switch on the phone and see what we can see. Okay, let's power up the fake phone. Okay, you can see the graphics there, clearly says Galaxy S4 GT19500. And then followed a very dodgy sound and very dodgy graphics. Now, once it's switched on, I mean, you can immediately see this is not what you expect to see. That was the first time I've taken it out the box. It doesn't take me through any setup process. It's reset to factory defaults. So technically it should take you through a process of actually setting up your phone. Doesn't ask me for my Gmail, doesn't ask me for my SIM card, doesn't do any of that. Very, very dodge. Nothing, very, very sluggish, can't change. If you go down to find where your settings would normally be it from the top down, can't get any of that. Let's go to the settings. Going to the settings, this is the only settings that you have. Whereas on the Galaxy, the real phone, of course you're going to have all the correct settings that's supposed to be there. So whilst you're waiting, I'm going to power up the real Galaxy phone. Give it some juice. Right. Instantly you can hear quality, instantly you can see different graphics. Yeah, now you know you're holding a McCoy phone. Now this is my setup phone. Oops, let me give it some juice before it runs out. So I've already been through the setup process on this, but immediately you can see there's a difference. I'm just scrolling down from the top to the bottom. You can see the settings that you expect to see. I mean, this is kind of what we're used to. I mean, there's no comparing the two when it comes to the settings. Never mind about the smoothness, about what the operation, but just having the two phones side by side, this is running some dodgy old OS of Android. Can't even tell you what it is because the setting doesn't allow that to be. whereas this one has actually got the proper settings. We go to the home screen. Right. So just having a play around these two. Okay. You can see I've got to do things multiple times here just to get a reaction out of this fake phone, whereas the Samsung is very, very smooth. Okay, so that's the story. Why wouldn't you use a fake phone? Besides the quality control of the battery and that you have no idea who's done what with it, the problem with a fake phone is that you can't also control the software. It will not give you software updates. You don't know if anybody's installed any malware on the phone, so every time you make a phone call, maybe someone is listening into the phone call, maybe they're taking a copy of your messages. Who knows, anything is possible, especially with Android being so flexible. These are very, very dodgy to have around, and people are falling for the fact that they're getting a cheaper phone. It looks the business, comes in a nice box, so it actually looks like you're getting the real phone just for much, much cheaper. Whereas in reality, you're actually putting yourselves at risk, both from an information point of view, but also from a point of view of your physical battery exploding and something actually could possibly happen. So this is not a phone that I would want to be playing around with, but it's a phone that needs to go absolutely back in its box and hidden away. On the normal Galaxy phone, of course, you would have no problem leaving it charged. That's what it's meant for. It's been tested thoroughly, it's passed all the regulations, and now you know you've got a good quality product. Okay. So be careful when you're buying phones, and don't get fooled by the box. Always look inside. The first thing to check is when you click on these buttons and hearing that click, immediately that tells you to stay away from it. This is not a legitimate phone. Switching on the phone is a must. You'll be able to tell what software you should be expecting to see versus what you're getting over here. They might try to pull the trick of saying, no, it hasn't been updated, and then as soon as you update it, you'll get all the latest software. That's absolute nonsense. Don't fall for it. Even with these non-standardized phones, they don't just automatically get the latest versions, the latest updates. In fact, I've tried to put this onto the network and the SIM got rejected, and it doesn't actually allow me to get onto the network. So this is an absolute waste of time, waste of money, and in fact quite dangerous. So always go for a legitimate product. This is what you're paying for. You're paying for the quality, you pay for a product, and then you know that it's safe to use and it will give you its full lifespan out of that you expect to see. Of course, with a Samsung, you also get the ADH warranty. So in case you break it, drop it in water, or crack the screen for the first 2 years, they'll have you covered. So again, another reason to pay a little bit extra, but you're getting a proper device. Okay, so that's another episode of The Techie Guy. Thanks for listening.